Greetings. Welcome to our series of weekly devotionals. We've reached the midweek offering in our look this week at a couple of short verses in the book of Proverbs. Now, shortly after I began my time at Forks, a longtime member shared with me a story about a Pennsylvania Dutch farmer who many years ago was not feeling good, and he collapsed out in his fields, and his family drove him to the hospital, and the doctors told him that he would have to stay in the hospital for several days while they ran some tests, and this farmer said, he was so stubborn and refused to accept the help of the doctors and nurses, and he pulled all the tubes out of him, and he started walking home from the hospital back to his farm, and before he got back home, he collapsed on the side of the road and died. And the person who told me this story was actually proud of the fact that this farmer was that stubborn and refused to accept help. So stubborn that he would rather die than accept the help of another person. And I thought to myself, really? That's something to be proud of? I was in the hospital actually for a long time last week, and it was a rough week, and I was feeling pretty low at times. And a friend of mine sent me this quote, which I found to be very appropriate. The quote says, "Don't be shy about asking for help. It doesn't mean you're weak. It only means you're wise." I thought that was a very fitting quote. And it also applies, I think, to King Hezekiah, the person who compiled this particular proverb. He, of course, was a king, the person in the kingdom who had the most power, authority, prestige, wealth, etc. But he realized that despite all of that, he needed help. He needed help from God, which is what helped him to be able to listen to God and to humble himself, to know that he needed that help. And I remember a good friend of mine, this friend helped me when I was first starting out in ministry. Gosh, he did so much for me. He bought me textbooks when I had no money. He gave me lifts when my car wasn't working. He gave me lifts to classes. He encouraged me. He was a force of nature, and it's true to say that if not for him, I know I would have never become a pastor. And I remember sitting with him once at his house, and I said to him, as long as I live, I will never be able to repay you for all the things you've done for me. And he said, "You don't have to repay me, Bob." He said, "You're actually helping me because you're giving me an opportunity to live out my calling as a Christian by doing for others. So you're the one that's helping me." And I thought, well, I don't know about that, but it sounded good. And, I think it is true. When we accept help from those around us, we are helping them to live out what is all of our calling as Christians, to help others. And part of that is being humble enough to accept that help as well. Amen.